All right, here we go.
Well,
Gentlemen,
hello.
welcome to the show.
How we doing? Yes, yes, yo. Hello.
There's my boy.
How we doing?
We're great, man. How are you?
Very well, actually. It's this feels like the right time over here to be doing this. This is when I come alive.
Oh, yeah, because it's a wee bit later for y'all than it is for us over here across the pond, huh?
Yeah, nearly 2 a.m. here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for staying awake or waking up, whichever. I don't know your pattern there of sleep.
Nor do I really. I think it's the lack of pattern is the thing, but it's all good. We roll.
Well, look, Matt has been preaching your gospel now to us for a while, and we're loving the tunes over here. So I'm gonna let Matt run with it. Matt, this is your jam, baby. So ask all the questions that everybody in the audience needs to know the answers to.
Dude, where do we start? Like, I hate interviews like this because I know 90% of it all already.
Well, just pretend.
Yeah. Let's start with getting signed to Metal Blade Records. Let's start with that. How did that come about? And because you'd only literally dropped the EP, didn't you? And then you were signed, but you couldn't announce it.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. So we dropped the EP in 2019. Pre-COVID, do you remember that world? That was just when we were beginning. So we started in 2018, played a lot of live shows, dropped that EP in 2019, and then toured like crazy. And I think that's where we really kind of cut our teeth, was on the road. So playing all the shows that we possibly could. And while we were doing that, we were kind of writing at the same time. And it went from, we kind of jumped in the studio straight away with the EP. So it was almost like we had our kind of sound, but we really homed it in while playing. And that is when we wrote You, Me and the Devil Make Three, which was the song that really kick-started everything then. So we released that during the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, thinking that it was only going to last like 2 or 3 weeks. We were like, we got a couple weeks off work, so let's get a song out, and then, in 2 weeks' time, when it's all over, we can tour it. But that's obviously not how that turned out in hindsight. However, I feel almost bad saying this. The pandemic kind of benefited us in a sense that we released that song when everyone was still fresh at home and kind of like they'd been home maybe a few weeks, in the UK at least. I don't think it had gone quite as bad in the US, but I think it was beginning to, and people were beginning to spend a lot of time at home. And it was in the full midst of the pandemic over here. And that meant that song just took off. And it actually ended up in the hands of people at Metal Blade. There were quite a few labels, in fact. But it was Metal Blade who we kind of somehow simultaneously got in touch with during the pandemic. And yeah, it was like an immediate hit off with those guys. And we were sitting on a few tracks. So it's the literally like the couple weeks after the pandemic ended, we went into the studio. They were like keen to hear it as soon as we were done. So we sent them 5 tracks once we were done. And that was the deal done. We hadn't even finished like writing. It was just, off the back of that.
I love it. And you mentioned you found your sound. So I want to touch on that. So like Lisa wasn't going to be here tonight, but she is. So I'll let her ask the tour question. But
so glad you could join us.
For me, you guys are so unique, and I've been banging it on to people that, you know, I write a review for the Sound before the magazine started. Pretty sure it's for Rock Bottom, and I said in years to come, people are going to say that Raptors are their influence. So where do you, being so unique and as bipolar as you are with the album, where do you see yourself fitting into the scene?
I think we've made a point of not fitting in. whether that's a good thing or not, we'll soon see, I guess. But all our favorite bands, and weirdly, bands that we get compared to, I don't see the Sound myself, but I think it's a thing that people can't put their finger on. And that's what I love. I love about art. Everything I love about music is the things that like don't necessarily fit in, but you can like get along with a lot of music. Like, I think we're living in a time now where we've got the entire history of music at our fingertips. There's no need to particularly choose a lane. And that is how we grew up, listening to Motown, listening to pop, listening to soul, but like always grounded in heavy metal and rock and roll. And we want to explore every option. I feel like life's short. Like, I don't want to choose one lane. I want to get everywhere and touch on everything. So if we want to write a jazz intro that has a choir singing in it, that's what we're going to do. And so if we want to write a 7-minute ballad, we're going to do that. And if we're going to write a flat out punk song, that's what we're going to do. And yeah, that was always the ethos. It was kind of throw out the rule book, do what we feel, so everything feels genuine. And I think that's the thing that connects. It doesn't connect with everyone, but I feel that when people do connect with it, it hits harder. And yeah, we're not going to aim to please everyone. We're going to firstly please ourselves, and then hope that it resonates with people. And it seems to work that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's got to be, you got to have that magic spark whenever you're writing it, right? And then as long as everybody in the room is like, "Oh, this is the shit," well, then you won, and then everything after that is just bonus, you know?
Absolutely. That's it. It's like, and we write very much like cohesively as well. Someone might have the main idea and may have like the chunk of the song, but then we throw it around the room, and it always ends up going in a different direction, but always in a more interesting direction. So yeah, we've started songs that start off heavy, that we get a little fruity with it, and throw in some some time signatures, or we'll throw in like as we did with the song The Death Rattle. We ended up writing a piano jazz intro for, and then like an entirely different outro, and yeah, throwing in 1920 swing influences, and yeah, throw it all into the mix and see what sticks, as long as we're having fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the fact that Motown is a big thing over there for y'all as well. For like me growing up as a kid, that's what all my family, that's what we listened to, was a lot of Motown stuff. And I to this day get goosebumps when I hear most of that stuff. And most people would think that like I only like heavy shit, because I really do like a lot of heavy shit. But going back, I mean, music is music. Good music is good music, no matter the genre, you know?
Yeah, and when you boil it down as well, when you see like the influences, I always enjoy having like a family tree of like, I'm just a music nerd, so I'll read interviews and watch like documentaries on people who their influences were X, like so and so, but then when you follow that kind of that family tree of influence, sometimes it boils down to the same handful of bands, like or artists. And I love like the influence like the blues had on, I mean, if it wasn't for the blues and like Robert Johnson and all the original kind of blues singers and guitarists, then we wouldn't have had Sabbath, and we wouldn't have had Zeppelin. So like, and in turn, then we wouldn't have had Metallica and all the thrash movement. So everything comes from like surprising roots, and without those, we wouldn't have the heaviest of the heavy shit that we've got now. So it's I love like how it has evolved, but I equally appreciate it in its form. Just listening to stuff like Bowie and like all original kind of pop and rock as well. It's I just love it, and I love that it kind of rubs off, and the five of us do it as well. So it's not just like a one person going wild and being like, oh, I'm going to do jazz, and everyone else has been like, what? It's like let's roll with that.
Yeah. I love when a band, like I got a bunch of my favorite bands, and they'll each individually, members of the band will say, well, this is what I was influenced by, and then the other guy will say who he's influenced by, and you're like, oh, okay, I do hear that, and I hear that, but when you put it together, it's not that anymore, and it's better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's why it's so fun to, because you can appreciate something as a finished like product and as a piece of art, but then when you like hear from a member and they say, oh, I'm heavily influenced by this, and you're like, now you see the layers when it all peels back. That's my favorite thing with music, and I love that people can do that with ours as well. This is why I love dissecting it all.
Well, Matt started at the Metal Blades getting signed, but like, how did you guys come together as a band? For people that don't know,
it was really like partly chance, but partly like long-term friends. So we were all in different bands, like different local bands, and we had all kind of like either depped for each other. Harley was doing like reviews, so Harley reviewed. So our lead guitarist, Harley, reviewed me and Ian, our rhythm guitarist. Like we were in a band for years and years before. So Harley got to know us from reviewing us. Matt and Harley went to college together. Sam and Harley used to be in a band together like years and years ago. So we'd all incestuously in our music scene knew each other and had played with each other. Like we ended up doing some like weekenders with Harley's old band, always hit it off. But then all of our other projects kind of came to an end all at kind of the same time. And it just seemed stars aligning, seemed like the time to kind of put something together. We wanted to work together, and it just all like it came together so quickly because we knew we already had that chemistry from jamming together in other projects. Like Matt had jammed with Harley like from Deppin. Harley came in and played guitar with me and Ian one time, like a few times. So we just knew we all had this chemistry, and we started like jamming together, and then within a couple months we had the makings of that first EP.
Not an unfamiliar story, right?
No, that's
right.
it.
Let me tell you, Simon says chemistry, right? And I will tell you now, these boys on stage just gel. Matt, the drummer, Matt Kappa, he is an absolute animal and probably one of the best drummers I've seen live, period. Then you've got Simon's vocals. His range is incredible. Harley is an absolute shredder. When are you going to completely unleash him on a track is what I want to know.
We're holding him back. We're like...
You are. I speak to him every time. I'm like, Harley, come on. They're like, they won't let me off the range. But like, you let him off the range, Demons in My Headphones. You let him have that little solo. He absolutely
I'm glad he's saying that as well. Yeah,
you got to find the right track to do it on, really, haven't you?
It's another thing with like saying the same, because I feel like we could unleash Matt a lot more as well, but it's the kind of the way we always say everything is for the song. And I know Harley could write a 9-minute solo, and he'd shred it. And I mean, he does. Like, don't get me wrong. When the beginnings of songs start, they are very, very different to what they turn into, because we do bring it back to about the song as a unit. But yeah, Harley definitely could do his own like 45-minute avant-garde shredding.
That's when you know you've hit like master sensei level of musicianship, whenever you structure your part for the song, not so much you as the player, whatever instrument that may be. But what you can do is do like Skinner did and just let him rip solos like at an intermission in your set, and then eventually just roll that into your own Freebird. So
yeah, that's absolutely it. Yeah, that's a good one, actually. We haven't had little solo sections. That would probably like help him blow off a lot of steam.
Yeah, it like lets him gas his fingers up. You can take a break, have a cocktail, and then everybody's happy. Yeah,
it sounds actually perfect. We'll give you all the credit for that.
Totally my idea.
Crazy. But yeah, they're just like, these boys are the most band that I've seen live now.
Oh taking that crown.
And you know the best thing of it, they were in competition with The City Is Ours, right? And the night that they took over The City Is Ours, Mikey, the vocalist from The City Is Ours, was at that show as well.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he came to London, and that was the show that you overtook, which was the couple of shows you played with the Virtue. So how was that, man?
Oh, those guys are great, man. It was so fun. That was the first night of the run was in London. So that was so cool. It was a really, really great night. And it was a really nice setting to kind of get to know those guys. Like, we didn't know each other beforehand, so it was really cool to get to know them. Then we took them to our hometown the next night, and that was carnage, absolute carnage. And then we played. Then we had a little like break. Well, I say break. It was, we've never done it before, but we did the first 2 dates. Then we had a 3-day festival where we were played a few sets there, and then joined them back on the tour. And I mean, it was interesting. It was interesting after 3 days of partying and playing festivals to rejoin the tour. Was, I mean, we probably, like, the show was great, but before the show we were like, this was a mistake. We've never been so haggard in our lives. Like 3 days of absolutely no sleep, and then joining the tour. Like, and those guys had been like consistent, and they just like carried on playing like their regular shows, and we'd just been in a field in like when it was raining sideways, like, hammering it down. So we just got extra drunk to stay warm. It was medicinal, and had like time of our lives. But like, they were like, "What's happened to you guys?" When we got to the venue, and everyone was like, "No talking."
Oh, geez, that's crazy. Go on, Lisa. I know you're dying to ask him some questions. You've been dying to get him on here.
Well, I mean, I've been dying to get him on here since we saw them for the first time, 2 years ago. So, I mean, I guess there's a lot to talk about. I mean, you guys put out an album. There's a lot of great tracks on that album. That album was a long time coming. You've recently released a new single, "The World's on My Tongue." Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it was really nice to kind of, with it was almost an exact year from album to the new single. So we were like kind of getting the itch again, because everything was with the album was so rapid fire. Like we were releasing, released 5 singles in like 5 months. So we were like so used to having those releases. Then obviously we toured the album like relentlessly last year, and then it got to the summer this year, and we were like, wow, we've got to get some new stuff out. And yeah, so we released The World on My Tongue like 6 weeks ago, and it's been very warmly received. It's a slightly different direction for us again. Definitely the more hard rock kind of influence, whereas everything previously has been a little bit more leaning on the metal side. This one was like a little bit more what we kind of grew up with, like early 2000s kind of like heavy rock influenced for us. And we were like, there's going to be some Puritans that are not going to like this. There's going to be some gatekeepers. But it was probably the most warmly received single we've ever put out. So it was a real curveball for us. We were like prepared for like usually on release day it's like a bittersweet thing where we've got we'll release it and like all our fans and everything is loving it, but obviously when we put out things on YouTube it's public domain,
Right.
And it especially it goes through the Metal Blade page, and it's, I mean, in fairness, before it's been like probably about 70-30 love to hate. But the hate is very strong.
Yeah.
It's a very good sound for you, though. I mean, if you want to compare your songs, I mean, if you were to go from You Me the Devil Makes 3 to Rock Bottom, you know, even my favorite, Bound. Okay.
Okay.
My favorite.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Favorite.
No, I do.
And you go to The World on My Tongue, it does sound more almost like easy listening rather than the loud, hard Rxptrs sound that most people might identify or, you know, be familiar with and love. So do we have that?
I've just been waiting for everybody to take a breath.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Yeah, all I have to do is hit the button that says add to stream, and it's going to play.
Yeah, let's bring the video in and let everyone listen to a bit of Rxptrs, and then we'll talk about what's coming up for the boys, eh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
All right. Here we go.
I love your music. It's totally different, completely different sound from what I'm used to, but I still like it. I think it's a nice piece of music.
All right.
And I love your vocals. You can sing me the alphabet. By the way, I will take that via MP3. Feel free to sing me the alphabet. I will play it every night before I go to sleep, and I will be a happy lady. Sing me anything. But I think
it sounds ready for Christmas.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I will see you. I will see you actually next month. And when I see you, you can present it to me. How about that?
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. we'll get a physical form. That's all good. We can get that.
We'll just do a voice memo on my phone.
There you go.
No, we'll do a live performance, but
Great track.
Let's touch on that video quick. Like,
say again, man.
The 90s. I said let's touch on that video quick. The 90s called and they want their gear back, man. Like, what's going on? What was
my
thinking behind that?
I tend to do all the video ideas, and like we'll go elaborate for some, we'll go arty for some, but this one was like I don't know what. I guess it was because of the sound reminded me of some like late 90s, early 2000s rock, and I was like, well, we've got to do a early 2000s video then. So that's all I pictured in my head when we were like finishing up the song. It's all I like could visualize. It all hits me at once, like with the sound, with the visual, and that's kind of all I was picturing. So I presented it to the boys, and they were like, "You sort it out." I was like, oh well. And everyone was slightly skeptical up until the day that we were filming it. I was like, trust me, I've got this. And yeah, I like ordered like the materials. We made that room ourselves. So that is emergency blankets that you use for like
After
people
a marathon.
Yeah, that's it. Or like after like a shipwreck or something like, or people who've nearly drowned. That is what those are. So we got it was 240 meters of those, and put it around. That's our rehearsal studio. So we built that disco ball, and got our friend Kieran to come and film it. So it was I was like, this can be very DIY. We can do this and make it look like a 2000s early like late 90s video. We got this.
Yeah, you do a lot of building your own sets. I remember Rock Bottom. You built basically an entire house inside.
That's the good thing of having a builder in the band and an electrician.
There you go.
So, yeah, for Rock Bottom,
prerequisites to join the band, you must know a trade.
DIY it.
In it, like we cover all bases with us. We've got we were meant to be. In fact, actually, half of them have become builders since joining the band. So we're like, go learn that trade and bring it in here.
I love it.
We really like, so with the Rock Bottom video, we were looking for a very specific style of like old British, like 70s British, like kind of bad furniture, terrible decor. And we like, everyone's clearly too tasteful. We were like, everything looks too modern. Everything we couldn't find anywhere. So again, we used the same studio. So it's all basically all our videos are in the same room. But we bought in plasterboard. We built a living room, and got all the furniture in, wallpapered the walls that we built, and then reversed the walls and made a church out of them.
It's
like
bonkers what you got to do as a band. And talking of the Rock Bottom video, I'll never forget. Apparently, me and Gareth look alike. So big shout out to Gareth Wall, who is the guy sat in the chair in the Rock Bottom video. So I got a message from Kevin, and he was like, I just can't unsee Matt. And I was like, I kind of see the resemblance. And I was like, I would love to be in our Raptors video. So one day we're going to have to make that happen, Simon.
Well, to you. Talking of DIY, though, I mean, you are also you also make a huge contribution with your artwork.
I do, and I've just realised while we were listening to that, I'm actually covered in paint. I was literally just painting before the interview, and I've just realised I'm absolutely covered in it. So if I've got it on my face,
there's some of your handiwork.
Oh yeah, here we go.
That's badass, man.
And we've also got this one up here is Simon's. That's Raptors drum head. That's the first one I bought, and that one up there is a Raptors drum head as well.
Yeah.
You may or may not know I love Raptors.
Yeah. So that was that actually started off. The artwork actually started off on the drum skins, because I'd never really delved into the merch world until it was like COVID times. We always used to get other talented folk to do our designs, and then in COVID, when we had no income coming in, it was kind of like we kind of need to learn to do this ourselves. So that's where I got the paints and the pens out, and started doodling on the drum skins, and I was like, actually, not too bad at this, so I will continue to work, because it's a lot better on our wallets, and it also means we get to recycle Matt's drums, and then with the money that we make, we buy him new ones. So it's a self-sustaining economy.
Yeah, definitely. We'll touch some more on your artwork near the end because I want to bring up some stuff.
No, I was gonna
Let's
say,
talk about what.
I was just popping something up real quick. I was like, hey, wait a second.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's
That
cool.
was one of my first ever designs.
Love it.
Yeah.
Still love it as well. Still
I
rock
went
that
I
one.
went digging real quick.
Yeah, we'll we'll do it now, Simon. Like, if bands and stuff want some artwork, can they hit you up?
Yeah, absolutely. You like my Instagram is probably the best place to do it, and I'm always like with whether it's businesses or bands, anybody, I'm happy to accommodate. Always. I've just done a like a pizza place in the UK in the US, which was like I'm just like selling myself now. I feel bad, but
It's okay. Go ahead.
Do it.
shameless plug. But yeah, I need to. I actually don't know the address or the chain, but I did a design and it's on a billboard in the US now. So
Wow.
I'm gonna find that. Apparently, it's
I
very
wanna know
good.
where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll find the address, and in case it might be on your doorstep, who knows? But yeah, I'm not entirely sure where it is. So I did get sent a photo of the billboard, though. It was very surreal.
Yeah,
Wow,
that's
that's-
always cool to see your artwork out there like that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my wall's slowly getting covered in it. I
That's
love it. Well,
okay.
the one I popped up on the thing, I saw him doing it, and I was like, dude, sold.
I know.
Yeah.
I have too. So if I was at home, I could hold it up, but no.
Yeah. Yes, you've got that one in purple, haven't you? But yeah, let's talk about what's coming up for you. Let's talk about what's coming up for you boys. So you were on tour. You played 2,000 Trees, which I saw an epic response to that. The crowd was huge there in that tent.
Yeah, for 11:30 in the morning, we really like, especially on the Friday morning, because it was it kicks off on the Thursday. So that's usually like the hangover slot that we got, and we were like 11:30. Is anyone even going to be there? And the whole tent was rammed. So yeah, that was a really, really good day. It was very validifying. It felt really good. So we've been riding high off that until now, and now we're heading back on tour tomorrow. So continuing that high.
Yeah, you've got a long drive tomorrow. Nottingham, you start off in tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad, and I feel like this is the thing from touring with A Virtue and from meeting American bands. Us Brits, we don't get to use the term long drive.
Yeah,
It's
not at all.
It's just, it doesn't exist in the UK compared to the US. I've been saying to the guys, if anyone ever complains, I'm like, no, like absolutely not. Ollie, who was driving A Virtue, he's their manager, and he just got off another tour with another band, and the shortest drive that he did was 16 hours on that. So I'm like,
crazy.
Yeah. Our tiny little island, we don't get to complain.
No, we couldn't even go from end to end 16 hours driving without falling off the end of it.
We could do like an entire lap of the island in 16 hours. So yeah, absolutely not. So yeah,
And then-
in fact, Nottingham's not too bad tomorrow. So it's all good.
It's Nottingham, Glasgow, Manchester,
And Newcastle.
Newcastle. I knew I was somewhere up around that area.
Yeah,
So
that's
that should
it.
be good.
It's quite a northern tour.
Yeah,
I love the
all
north.
up in the north. And then Lisa mentioned it earlier. She's going to see you next month, at the end of the month, at
Yeah.
a hometown show. Misery Loves Company.
Big
Let's talk about that.
venue. Yeah.
Yes, because you
So-
are. Can we say?
Yes.
Are you sure? Is he going to tell me off if we say?
Maybe. I've just thought now. I was about to be like, yeah, but no, he actually hasn't released any of the timetabling and any of the stage splits. But I nearly just gave it away anyway. But it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a very good stage, and it is it's going to be a big day. It's looking like it's going to go very well for the festival, and we would hope that it's we're going to get everyone there at a good hour to really get the day going.
Definitely, and it's like for you guys, it's a bit of a mates fest as well, isn't there? There's a lot of your mates bands that you're good friends with around that, unfortunately, City had to pull out because of
that is a shame. To the people that won't know, this is, we're talking about a festival called Misery Loves Company. So this is the first year it's ever been put on, and it's been it's looking like a massive deal. There's 6 stages across many venues in our home city in Bristol.
It's gonna be great.
And it's some really good and like international bands, and it's 50% like it's a fully diverse lineup. So 50% of the lineup have like female or trans representation. So it's a really cool, really thought out festival, and it is being put on by our guitarist Ian. So he has he's put on festivals in the past, but he's knocked it out of the park this time. Yeah, it's a huge lineup for the UK. It's got a lot.
Especially and it concentrates on up and comers as well, which is what I love about it. Yeah, it's a lot of
giving them a chance to play like big stages as well, like stuff that they probably wouldn't at this stage be kind of playing. So he's really taken into account local bands, but he's teamed them up with bands that have played everywhere. Bands like Twin Atlantic, Yonica, In Me, like doing like a whole anniversary set. It's playing to like 2,000 cap rooms. It's gonna be a big one.
It's gonna be epic.
I'm gonna lose my mind. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna get to see Kite Thief, Knife Bride, Lake Malice, South Arcade. I am gonna lose my ladies' night mind.
Right.
Lose my mind. These are all artists that I play and love, and I am ecstatic to finally. I don't get to see them that often.
No, and then not long after that, the boys are coming down and headlining my city.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one as well. That's like a big lineup, like a big day festival. So that's going to be great in Exeter. We're going to be. Oh, actually, I was going to again slip up there. There's going to be some other stuff around that time.
It's all right, mate. We're not live across the world. It's not a problem.
Right. We can edit it out. It's not live.
I'm the worst for whistleblowing. I'll always like tell the guys, you can't tell anyone this, you can't tell anyone this, and then I'll just get too excited and I'm like, oh, I'll
tell you that as well, because like Simon will be at a show, me and Simon will be talking, and he will tell, because he trusts me, obviously, it's artist, whatever, confidentiality, he'll tell me stuff. And then I'll be talking to the other boys, and we'd be talking or whatever, and they're like, Simon's opening his mouth already, and he, oh yeah,
guilty. Yeah, it's almost every time, and I'm always like, "How has this been leaked?" And then I'll look back at the podcast I'd probably been on the last week, and I was like, "Oh, I totally said that."
Yeah. You investigate it and find out it was you. You're like, damn it.
Yeah. I just get too
Yeah, but
excited.
Exeter should be
Yeah.
good. You haven't been to Exeter for, well, since I've been a fan of yours. It's been a long time since you've been down here.
It was the last gig that we played before COVID.
Wow.
So it was, yeah, that was the last time we were in Exeter because it was a really, really cool show. And we were like still like buzzing, and we were like, we had another tour like booked in for like a month later. And that was the end. And so Exeter was the last gig we played for like 18 months. So luckily it was really good, and it left like a lasting memory. But this one promises to be a lot bigger, and we've come on a long ways, and we might even be playing some new stuff. I can say that much.
Great. When are you coming to America?
Oh,
you know what, we were
I'm
chatting.
I'm coming in for the kill. I want to know.
Yeah.
It is the highest priority for us. And we actually spoke to the label last week, and they really want us over there because it makes a lot of sense with them being in California. So we are desperately looking for the right opportunity. Obviously, for a band of our size, it's very, very expensive. And things post Brexit haven't been friendly. So there's certain things that we've got to straighten out first. But as soon as the time is right, we will be there in a heartbeat. So we are looking to that. But we're chasing the label. We're like, surely you can speak to people. We're
Right.
like,
right. That's your job.
Yeah,
So,
you've got Killswitch Engage.
So,
get that.
So talking tours, I know you've got a question that you want to ask with like about tours and their sound and stuff. So how about it, Gil?
I'm sorry, I've just totally drawn a blank on what you're referring to.
Okay, should I ask the question?
Yeah, I've had a sort of rough day, so if you don't mind.
Okay, so talking of tours, talking of your unique sound and stuff like that, do you find it difficult to tour with bands? Because I've noticed a lot of the shows I've seen you at, it's been headlining shows. So do you find it difficult supporting artists because you are so unique?
You know what? It can be a blessing and a curse for sure. Because more so for people curating the shows and curating the tours. Because there's two ways of kind of looking at it, and there's the most traditional and the most kind of probably easier job for an agent or a promoter is to find bands that sound similar, because people by natural thinking associate certain bands with certain other bands, and so if it was say like a heart like YC like quite like cliques with hardcore community and with certain brands of metal, it's never like it's not meant to be non-inclusive. It's just naturally the way things happen. There are some promoters and there are some agents that do kind of look at it artistically, because sometimes those like polar opposites or bands that don't necessarily sonically go together actually make the best tours. I saw it was Panic at the Disco. This was in the US, but I saw Panic at the Disco had Every Time I Die supporting them, and I was like, that's awesome. And it also was Motionless in White, and they had Every Time I Die supporting as well. And I was like, see, that's cool. That's creative, like promoting, because it's a little bit more risky because some people won't get it, but it can draw in double the crowd if people take a gamble on it. And that's the tours that we've kind of done with support tours, where people have gone, they don't necessarily sound like the headliners, but we're going to get these in because they complement. But we've definitely had conversations where we've, like, promoters have gone, actually we've gone with a band that sounds similar, or they're from like the same genre, and it definitely has worked against us in the past for sure. But it's something that you kind of gotta, we knew what we were getting into. Like, we knew when we started off that was going to be the case. But it's to fight our own corner and to never really buckle to kind of changing our ethos. We're like, people will get it. We don't know, or we don't care how long it takes. It's do the shows until people are talking about it, and it seems to be getting there. Yeah, it's just taking the hard road sometimes.
I think the hardcore music junkies, though, they cross over, right? Like again, going back to what we said earlier, like, good music is good music. And that's kind of what we tried to do with the festival that we put on. Was, we had some that were really hard rock and some that were more what we call like Southern rock here in the States. And, fans from both bands dug it. You know what I mean? And I've been to big festivals where it is all pretty much just rock, and that's cool, or hard rock or metal, whatever you want to call it. And then I've been to, Kevin, like festivals in New Orleans where it could be anything from jazz in the morning to Slipknot at night. And that's really cool too, to go all the way through all genres. So it's just I think, like you said, however the promoters want to promote, I think both ways work, Yeah.
100%. This is the thing. And it's not something that anyone can begrudge, because one, it's tried and tested. Like, there are tours that go out and bands are similar, and they get on. They're like, the bands are friends. They have the similar audience, and people are going to love that. Equally, it's really cool. Yeah, when you I love seeing, like, we've had it in the past where we have an acoustic act opening, and then have like completely different genres, and it kind of covers all moods and emotions. And I think that can be really, really cool. But yeah, there's no right answer, and there's no wrong. This is the greatest thing with music. I think we live in a really great time now as well, that there are such diverse lineups, and especially with festivals. I think that's the coolest thing, because when you're there, especially if it's like a weekend or something, where you can go and see some like some Southern like vibes on there, or like have some chill out vibes, and then go and absolutely like rage to something. It's fun for all the family.
Yeah, I definitely can agree, for sure.
I love it.
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
No, carry on, Jared. Carry on.
No, I was just going to ask him where, like, social media wise, where they, you're signed with Metal Blade, you say, so they put out a lot of your stuff as well. But are y'all most active on Facebook or YouTube, or where can people hit you up the most?
I would say these days it is Instagram and TikTok now.
Okay.
Definitely kind of putting a bit more emphasis on the video aspect of everything. We 100% Facebook. Facebook's always there. It's our solid one. That's where we began. But there's such an emphasis on video and audio now. So Instagram and TikTok are definitely the way to go, and YouTube.
Yeah,
like YouTube.
That TikTok, that's a new animal there. That's to master that and figure out how to, what do you want to portray on that medium is something.
Yeah, 100%. At first I was like very dubious, because I do all the social media for our band, and when it first came out, we joked about getting it, and we were like, "Could you imagine?" And then 6 months later, we were like, "Yeah, we need to get on it."
Platforms, they evolve, you know. They evolve.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
This is it, and you use it to your advantage. And also, the thing with TikTok is you can follow trends, or you can just do you, and that is what we do. You're not going to see us doing well. I think don't like hold this, because in 6 months' time you might see us doing lip sync and dance.
Evolve, right? Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be doing any dancing. I don't think we're going to be doing any lip sync videos. But
Milli Vanilli's come and gone, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sometimes it feels like they're back. You know, it's some of the shit you see out there. It's like,
to be honest, there's nothing more I want to see than Simon in his purple flares, just like strutting down the street, dancing to some, like, you know, Saturday Night Fever style to some Rxptrs.
It can be arranged. It can be arranged.
That sounds like a video idea, Matt.
Tell us.
Yeah, getting all the ideas tonight. This is fun.
Yeah. So I was going to say, like, at the minute we're having a big influx into the scene with a lot of up and coming bands and stuff, and it's sort of like I feel the genre is changing like it did back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when like Slipknot and all that came about. And you are one of those bands that are changing the scene by far. You know, your ethos of not conforming to one subgenre and just doing your own thing and just writing music, whether it's 1920s swing or punk or, you know, a bit of jazz. What's one piece of advice that you would give to a band coming into the scene right now?
I would say, I mean, there's certain things I'd always say to bands, but I truly believe is in this day and age, anyone can see what's genuine. Everyone is so exposed to so much and so many bands that if you're faking it, then people will see it. So don't follow a trend, because that trend will potentially be over in 6 months' time, less than 6 months now. Be you, unapologetically you, and follow what feels right as opposed to what you're told is right.
I love it. That's great advice. You know, if you're making art, it should be for art. You
know
that's
it.
I mean, it should
That's
be
it,
it should be therapy. It should be for the, you know, the beauty of what you create. So yeah,
100%. It's and people will try and predict or tell you what's going to be big, and there's no point in it.
Yeah. Well, dude, I think we that was a good interview. I know Matt's been jamming for this for a while. Matt, does it feel good?
Yeah, man, just getting him on here, like, because we talked about getting on and doing a recording, and I was like, dude, if you're willing to stay up, we got to do it live, you know. Simon knows how much I fucking love him, and he is such, and all the boys in the band, and I will say this to all bands out there: when you're out there doing shows, you need to engage with your fans. Like when me and Lisa first met Simon and the boys at Turbulence Festival, me and Simon sat talking for a good hour. Like, he'd had a few, I'd had a few, and we were just talking the shit for a good hour. We were talking Raptors music and stuff like that. And I got my drum heads, and he just be personable when you're out there on the streets and on the road with the fans. Just that's how you engage and generate a bigger fan base, because people will start talking about you if you are personable.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what he said earlier about not faking it, whether it's your genre, like what you were talking about. But if you're not out there having fun and you're not doing it because you love it, what's the point, you know?
Right.
Yeah. That is it. Like, because at the end of the day, even if like some people might luck out and catch a trend, but if you're not loving it, it's gonna run out at some point, and you're probably gonna look back and go, like, what am I doing? anyway.
Or even worse, if it doesn't run out and you're stuck doing some shit you hate, and then it's like that would be not great either, you know.
I would say that is
crazy.
more likely of what would happen as well. It's I think it would be, the rarity is that it would actually take off. I think for most part, as I say, people will see through it, and you might have a really good producer. You might have some songs, but like if it ain't real, people will see it. They'll smell it a mile away.
For sure.
I love it.
Well, dude, I appreciate y'all staying up for us over here in the States.
No worries, man. Thank you guys for having me. It's been lush.
Yeah, one of the cool things about us doing this show and having met Matt is being as juiced into the UK scene as we can be, being way over here. Had it not been for this podcast, this show, you know, I wouldn't know half of what I know about what's going on y'all's side of the pond there. So it's been a pleasure just getting experience to what y'all are doing, you know.
Well, it's that's a big props to Matt there. And yeah, keep doing your thing, and vice versa. Now I've got like a list of bands again from Matt, and Lisa as well, and you guys on Twitter. I've found so many good ones, and Pistols at Dawn now is a new one for me from just today. So yeah, keep up the cracking work, guys.
Oh, and by the way, before we go, thank you so much for the birthday video. I love you.
Oh yeah, that was sweet. That was in London.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was a special brew, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well, another episode in the books.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
so much
Simon, for joining us.
Thank you.
Safe travels on the
Simon,
road.
thank you very much, man.
Love.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having us, and we'll have to do it all again sometime soon.
That'd be
For
great.
sure.
I'll see you next
For
month.
sure.
I'm straight.
Have a great night, man.
Go Smile.
Have a good one.